Diogenes of Sinope, the man who lived in a barrel, insulted emperors to their faces, and carried a lantern through the streets of Athens in broad daylight searching for an honest man. He wasn't just a philosopher, he was a storm, a living rebellion against society's hypocrisy, weakness, and lies. But what most people don't know is that Diogenes had a brutal message for men who obsessively chase women. He didn't whisper it. He didn't sugarcoat it. He exposed it like a blade slicing through delusion. And that truth, it's as relevant today as it was 2,000 years ago. In a world where men tie their value to how many women they attract, Diogenes called out the pathetic chase for what it truly is: desperation disguised as desire. To Diogenes, true freedom meant wanting nothing, and especially not being ruled by lust. He believed that the moment a man starts living for the approval of women, he dies to his own purpose. He once said, "It is the privilege of the gods to want nothing, and of godlike men to want little." So what does that say about the modern man who builds his entire identity around female validation? Diogenes saw these men not as lovers, but as beggars, crawling on the ground, hungry for attention, for praise, for a glance, and losing themselves in the process. He didn't hate women, he hated the man who gave up his mission just to impress them. Diogenes was called the dog, not as an insult, but as a badge of honor. Why? Because a dog is honest. A dog doesn't pretend to be anything he's not. He lives raw, unashamed, and free. Diogenes embraced this identity. He rejected luxury, power, and comfort. He rejected false pride and empty lust. He saw men polishing their bodies but neglecting their minds, dressing sharp to impress but lacking depth when they spoke. He would scoff at the modern player, the man who brags about his conquests but is terrified of being alone. Because Diogenes knew a man who needs women to feel powerful isn't powerful at all. He didn't teach through books. He taught through shock. Once, when people mocked him for his minimal lifestyle, he said, "I am richer than all of you, for I have nothing, and I need nothing." That's the core. If you can't be alone, you're not a man. You're an addict. If your value rises and falls based on who's texting you back or who finds you attractive, then Diogenes would say, you are not living your life. You're performing. And for what? A dopamine hit? A fleeting moment of pride? Real men chase meaning. They chase purpose. They don't chase women. Diogenes exposed this truth thousands of years ago. And yet here we are, in a modern world of dating apps, Instagram likes, and thirst traps, repeating the same pattern. Men buying courses on how to talk to women, how to game women, how to manipulate attention, all while losing touch with their own inner strength. The strongest men aren't the ones with the most women. They're the ones who don't need them. Because when a man is full spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, he becomes a magnet. Not because he's trying, but because he's real. And Diogenes, he was the realest man to ever walk barefoot through a broken society. So here's the brutal truth. If you're constantly chasing women, ask yourself, what are you really running from? Are you afraid of silence, of solitude, of confronting your own emptiness? Diogenes held up the lantern not just to find an honest man, but to expose the cowards hiding behind charm. The men who chase because they're too scared to sit still and become someone worth being chased. The game doesn't begin with impressing others. It begins with mastering yourself. Until then, every kiss, every number, every night out is just noise. You want to know what makes a man powerful? Discipline, detachment, direction. Diogenes had nothing. No fame, no family, no fortune. Yet he had everything because he needed nothing. That's the paradox. When you stop chasing, you start attracting. When you stop needing, you start becoming. And when you live like a lion, you stop crawling like a beggar. Diogenes didn't want followers. He wanted men to wake up, to see how low they had fallen, to rise, not by chasing women, but by chasing wisdom. So if you're watching this, here's your challenge. Stop performing. Stop begging. Stop living for attention. Be so focused on building your mind, your mission, your purpose, that you forget to even notice who's watching. Because when you become that kind of man, women will notice, the world will notice. And most importantly, you will notice you're finally free. Like, share, and subscribe if you're done being the chaser and ready to become the flame.